Hi everyone, my name is Cynthia. Let's talk books. Today I'm here with my first of the best of 2022. So the best books that I read in 2022. Today I specifically want to talk about the best romances that I read in 2022 because it's one of my favorite categories. I just love reading romances, and there were some really great ones that I read last year. So these are not books that necessarily came out in 2022, but they're books I read last year. And they're also in no particular order. Actually, they're kind of in the order in which I read them. Yeah, that's just the way I like doing things here. So let's start with the first book that was a five-star read for me and that I think everybody should read, especially if you like reading historical romances. That is A Caribbean Heiress in Paris by Adriana Herrera. This book is the first in a series that's going to follow a group of Caribbean women in Europe. This first one follows a rum heiress as she goes to Paris to the World's Fair to exhibit her rums, and she meets a whiskey distiller, and fun ensues. I really love Adriana Herrera's writing, period. But this book just spoke to my soul. One, because it had Paris, because it had Latina main characters, and a historical period. And it's just like, I feel like Adriana Herrera writes for me. A lot of the times, and I just the story, it's a little bit of an arranged marriage, not a little bit, our hero and heroine decide that it's in their best interest to get married, but of course they already like each other, and the marriage turns into a love match. So anyways, if you're looking for more diverse historical romances, I think this one is gonna hit all of the right notes for you. The next book on my list is Crashing Into Her by Mia Sosa. I really like Mia Sosa's writing. She is like, her writing is perfect for kind of the trend that's going on right now in romance, which is like rom-coms. She writes dialogue so well, and the way, like, the rapport between the hero and the heroines always just is delightful for me. In this particular one, we have a plus size heroine who is moving to Los Angeles to start up her career and to kind of do her own thing aside of what her parents' expectations and what society's expectations are for her. She meets this their hero she's already met before. They've already had a one night stand. It was supposed to just be a one night stand, but now they're in each other's circles again in Los Angeles, and he runs a company for like stunt doubles, and she's interested in kind of dabbling in stunt doubling while she's in Los Angeles, and so she starts taking her class. So I just really liked it. For some people, if that relationship between like her being a student might not be a great dynamic, but the way Mia Sosa wrote it just really, really worked for me. The plus that we the fact that we have a plus size heroine, that she's black, it's an interracial romance. I just really, really enjoyed this one. And next on my list is Gunpowder Alchemy by Jeannie. This book I have been meaning to read for a long time, and I loved it. I loved it. This one is like very low heat. The hero and the heroine never get together in this book. It's a series, so I'm willing to bet there's going to be a development over the rest of the series in that relationship. But we're following a heroine in historical China as she is struggling with the fact that her father was a part of the government, and but the family is now disgraced and living poor, and she is just trying to help her family. Everything she's doing is for her family, and but now she's being tasked with doing something, working within the government in order to restore her family's prestige. So again, if you like historical romances, this one is one to look into. The historical China setting is really interesting, unique, in that not a lot of historical romances are set during this time period. Our heroine is struggling with a lot of things. She's in the middle of like these power struggle within the dynasty, and within the dynasty fighting European colonialism, and so it's just full of really great themes. Okay, next on my list is Twice a Quinceañera by Yamile Saied Méndez. Twice a Quinceañera is probably a book that's not for everyone, but I really liked it. It is low heat. It's closed door romance, so you never get the explicit sex scenes between a woman who's was an abusive relationship, and she was about to get married to this man, but the wedding has been called off. She's about to turn 30, and she's really afraid of what her family's comments are about the fact that she's going to be a 30 single-year-old woman. And so she decides to throw herself a double quinceañera. And she's struggling with those expectations, those family expectations from this Latino family, who are well-meaning but are also making this harder than it needs to be for her. Enter the owner of the venue she was gonna use for her wedding, and is now turning into the venue to use for her double quinceañera, who is a past boyfriend, a college boyfriend that she dated during a break in the relationship with her ex, and they never exchanged a lot of information about each other, but now they are being brought back together, and he's struggling with family expectations as well, of now being in charge of the family business and everybody expecting him to fail. I really liked it. There's a soccer scene in which the family's playing soccer that I really loved, and Yamile Saied Méndez wrote a book about a teenage girl playing soccer that I can't wait to read, because that soccer scene just was like music to my little heart. The next book that I read was Mistlefoe by Kimberly Lemmings. If you have not read Kimberly Lemmings, you need to read it. Even if you haven't read any monster romances, this is a kind of fantasy monster romance. And this one in particular is a short novella, so it's very short, but you have a heroine that is just witty, funny, smart, knows what she wants, and she is gonna fall in love with this creature. And it's short, and I struggle sometimes with novellas, with romance novellas, because they tend to just not be very satisfying for me. But this one really hit the spot, and Kimberly Lemmings, like, she doesn't have a ton of books out, but I've been loving everything I've been reading for her, even when it's not perfect. Like the first book in this series I thought was not perfect, but it was so interesting, and it just, there's so much to look forward to in Lemming's writing, I think. So I highly recommend Mistlefoe. The next book that I loved was West Side Love Story by Priscilla Oliveras. So again, this is a book that's closed door romance, not very high heat, and yet it's got quite a bit of heat because the chemistry between the hero and the heroine is so good. But here we're following an all-female mariachi band. Our heroine is a member of this, and they have a lifelong rivalry with another all-male mariachi band. And so it's a forbidden love story here. But our hero and heroine, when they meet, don't know who the other one is, and the fact that they are part of like rival mariachi bands. And that was handled so well by Priscilla Oliveras. Priscilla Oliveras' writing keeps getting better and better. If you haven't read Priscilla Oliveras and you like or are willing to read closed-door romances, I highly recommend her most recent books, especially West Side Love Story. I still haven't read the second in this series, but I can't wait. Priscilla Oliveras, like the way she writes about mariachis, about mariachi music, is just beautiful. I really loved it. Second to last book on my list is Second Chance at Rancho Lindo by Sabrina. This is a Mexican-American cowboy story. Our hero is a veteran who was injured serving in the military. He's come back to his family's family ranch, and he, once again, this is a theme in a lot of the books I really liked in this last year. He's struggling with family expectations and the fact that his family wants him to accept the family legacy of working at this ranch. He's been struggling with that his whole life, but it is ultimately the right place for him, especially the right place to heal after having served in the military. our main heroine has had a crush on the hero her whole life, and he doesn't know it. And so when he comes back, he does not recognize her. And he doesn't remember a really important moment for her. So there's a bit of a miscommunication here that gets treated and resolved really nicely. This one's also closed door romance, low heat. I loved the themes, the history that Sabrina Soul brings into it. She talks quite a bit about the history of Mexican American ranches in California. If you're into horticulture, the heroine runs the ranch's new garden, where she is experimenting with new techniques for raising crops. And I think it's just, I really like this one. The hero is a bit hard-headed, and some readers might struggle with that. You just want him to, like, hello, the right decisions are right there staring you in the face and you're resisting them. Why are you resisting them? But if you can handle that, I think this is a really fantastic romance. And then last on my list is a book I just read in December of 2022, and it's another novella. Again, because I don't tend to love novellas, when a really good one comes along, it just is wonderful. This one is The Love Connection by Denise Williams. And full disclosure, I love all of her full-length books, Denise Williams's. She does such a magnificent job of merging the romance story with really difficult topics. This one, it has less of that, like less of the really difficult topics. So it's a heroine that works at a grooming salon, a pet grooming salon at an airport. And the hero is a regular traveler who always comes in at the gate across from the grooming salon. They have the most amazing meet cute. The ending will feel a bit rushed for some readers, but it just worked for me. It was emotional. It had a lot of heart with two people that are just amazing. And so the conflict that they're struggling with is not like it's an external conflict, right? Of like, they don't live in the same place. And so I love romances that do that, because then it's not an issue of like the hero or the heroine having to like having something, some miscommunication issue or some issue in the relationship. It's something external to the relationship, and I really like those. So that is it. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 romances that just were 5-star reads for me that I recommend. I don't think every single one of these will work for everyone, but I think they are worth giving a chance to. Picking up, seeing if you like them or not. A lot of times the person that I think of when I recommend romances is Shannon, because Shannon is a much more picky of a reader, and so I sometimes distinguish, is this a book Shannon would like? And like with some of this I'm like, nope, yes. So like she tends to not like books with a lot of like embarrassing things, cringy elements. So like I know she loved West Side Love Story, but I know she DNF'd Twice a Quinceañera, because that one can be a little bit cringy. Second Chance at Rancho Lindo could be a little bit cringy, and so is Crashing Into Her. But some of the other ones are not cringy at all, and I think pretty much anybody will like those books. So that's my review of the best books, of the best romance novels I read in 2022. If you have any recommendations, leave them down below for romance novels. I love the romance community, and I read quite diversely even within the romance genre. I used to be very specific into historical romances, but now I've been reading a lot more diversely within romance, and I'm really enjoying it. So I will take any and all recommendations. Leave them all down below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.